Everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat. Erev Sukkot, Shira David, Likutey Halachos, Netilas Yadayim, Shachris Beis, and we're up to letter Zion. Okay, so I just want to start off with a nice, beautiful aura I saw in the Kava Yasher. I always love to read the Kava Yasher. I saw that in the Holy Noyam Elimelech, he said that a person should read the entire Sefer Kava Yasher 102 times, because it's the gematria of Kav. And he said it's an amazing Sefer. Why is it such an amazing Sefer? Because he takes all the beautiful pieces and practical pieces of the Zohar Kadosh and he puts it in a way that you could really understand it, where it's not just a mystical thing, but he really puts it in a practical way.
Kadosh was written by the Noam Elimelech?
No. It was written by, I don't remember his name at the moment. I'm sorry. No, I don't remember his name. Sorry. Anyway, listen. But I know the Sefer well. Baruch Hashem. So he says in chapter Tzaddik Hey, it's 95. And he's talking about the whole idea of why we build the sukkah, why we make the sukkah right after, when we come home Matzah Yom Kippur, we go first and we start making the sukkah right away. Why? Because he said that one of the beautiful reasons is because sukkah is written in the Torah as Samach Chaf Saf. Right? Missing the vav, right? And he says that is the same gematria as the Sitracha's wife. We don't like to mention her name, right? We don't like to mention that name because that's And so we're basically the Satan. His gematria of the Satan is 364. 64 because he says on Yom Kippur, the Satan has no rule. He has no control. But right after Yom Tiv, his wife gets to work. So we go make this sukkah, which is also 480. Sukkot is 480.
How? Sukkah?
Saf is 400, and the kaf and the sa is 480. Okay, Sukkah is 480. So that's to counter the wife of the Sitracha. But then he goes on to say, and this is what I came out. He didn't really say this directly, but it's an amazing idea. We go on Rosh Hashanah, we do the tashlach, right? So what do? We go and we deposit all the averot in the water, right? We give them away. And then the whole mitzvah of now the preparing the sukkah, the whole thing is it's a big mitzvah to be besimcha, do everything with simcha. The whole Yom Tov of sukkah, the whole theme is simcha. So why is that the case? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to return to Him be'ahava, and He wants us to do our tshuva to return to Hashem be'ahava. Now listen, this is fascinating. So we take that water that was very toxic because we put all those sins in the water. But then when we come to Sukkot, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a special mitzvah, Nisuch Hamayim, right? Nisuch Hamayim. We never ever would put water in the Beis Hamikdash. Water, it was always wine. What is this water? No, but now you have a special use the water. Because we know the principle, the Gemara tells us, Rav Kook writes it so beautifully in Iris HaTshuva, that when a person does tshuva me'ahava, he takes the zidoniot, he takes the iniquities, and nasias kezuchuyot, he makes it into merits. Right? So he takes the defiled stuff, and he makes it mamish into diamonds. He makes it into jewels. Amazing. So when we saw that water before, the water was terrible. But now when we do the tshuva me'ahava, so now wait a second, I want that water. That water now is full of gems. I want that water back. It's reverse, it's a filtered water. It's cleaned up. It's really cleaned up now. I want that water. And Hashem says, give me that water, spill that water in the Beis Hamikdash, because that's the water with all the gems and all the things, because we took all the iniquities and we made them into things. So the whole thing is Mamas Simcha. And that's what all these lessons that we're learning about here is, again, the whole idea is Yom and Laila. We said Yom is Geula, Laila is Golus, right? So we want to take the night and we want to make it into the day. That's what we try to do. Right? We get up before the Alot HaShachar, and by doing that, what we do is we take that darkness and we bring it, we schlep the day into it. So we take the Geula and we schlep it into the Gullus to redeem ourselves, and that's what we're supposed to do. And that's all through the whole thing of Simcha. And that, you want to say something?
Just reminded me.
Please,
I
David.
think that there's a Gemara in Yuma that there's a mikvah that's built in the Beis Hamikdash.
Yeah.
The name of it, I forget the name of it. They say that the person who engineered it was like was an Ovid of Avodah.
Yeah.
He knew that mikvah was high or something. He knew how to engineer like that the water should go up. So the question is why they named the mikvah. First of all, why they used
him.
So maybe they used him because he was the only one who knew it.
Yeah.
But why did they do it? So I think one of the shittas in the Gemara is that
he did tshuva, and that's why it was such a good
water.
The sukkah is a mitzvah like a mikvah too. When you go into the sukkah, you go in your whole body the same way you full immersion, like when you go into the mikvah. So there you go, beautiful. Shkoyach. Okay, so let's see inside a little bit. Okay.
This is the author.
A Koidenova, right? I forget. Yeah. I'm very good friends with the Koidenova Rav in Ashdod. Baruch Hashem. Yeah. Anyway, Zion. So the Rebbe says today this is such a beautiful thing, and we're going to try now to connect the mitzvah of Pesach, which is Emunah, is Sukkot, is the whole idea of Simcha, and really, if you have Emunah, that's the best way to have Simcha, right? With Emunah, you can always be b'simcha, right? If you don't have Emunah, that's a recipe for disaster. The Rebbe says like this.
It's always proportional.
Huh?
The level of simcha basically shows
your level of Emunah. Yeah, if a person's always b'simcha, that means he's trusting in Hashem that everything is going the way it's supposed to go. Shabbos HaGadol. Look at it, isn't it so nice? Shabbos HaGadol, we're learning about here today. Erev Sukkot, yeah? Beautiful. Shekayim l'Shabbos nefnei Pesach Shabbos HaGadol Hashem Adnes. Right, it was the big miracle that happened, right? Yetzias Mitzrayim. But the whole thing of Sukkot is really Pesach anyway. Because why are we sitting? Because we had Yetzias Mitzrayim and we're sitting in the Sukkah, right? We're sitting in the Sukkah. So okay, so Baruch Hashem. Ki ikra hanisim v'nefloi sh'ayeh b'Yetzias Mitzrayim she'shideit hamarochis. All right, uvitel hateva v'gila hashkachos yizbarach b'olam, because that's the whole idea that we're learning about. The whole idea is hashkachas Hashem. We always have to remind ourselves the das. What's the das? To remember hashkachas Hashem. That nothing happens on its own. It's all via what the Rebbeinu Shalom it does, and He runs everything. And the whole and HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a mockery of the Chatumei Mitzrayim and those that were believing in the astrology and all of that. He made a mockery because he switched around everything. He made the water split, and the 10 plagues, and he made a mockery out of the whole thing to show that it's Einad Mavadi, it's only HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world, and there's only Hashgacha. Hakol Nimshach B'Chinas Shabbos, and it all comes from this aspect of Shabbos. Why Shabbos? Who Oma the Asi Shekulei Shabbos? Because in the next world, the whole idea of and the end of time, we know there's going to be a Yom Shekulei Shabbos, right? When Mashiach comes, it's going to be Yom Shekulei Shabbos. It'll be a day that we really trust in the Rebbeinu. In the same way on Shabbos, we trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu because we don't prepare food and we don't do malacha on Shabbos, right? So when we were in the desert, we didn't prepare our food either, right? Hashem sent down the man, right? And depending on how big of a tzaddik and the moon that the person had, that's how close the man came to his tent, right? It's fascinating. Right, when you learn the midrashim on that, right? Where did the man come? So this guy had to go travel a far distance, and the other guy did the door-to-door service, right? Unbelievable. So it's all about emunah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shemisham mamshech Hashem Yisbarach kiviyachal hashkacha mibechinas seif ha'olam. Like we learned in Torah Reish Nun in lesson 250, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes from the end of time. He takes from that time. He brings the hashkacha. He takes that idea of hashkacha that's going to be like we said that it's Mola Azoras Deyas Hashem Kemayim Mechasim, right? The beautiful pasuk, right? That the world is going to have so much das of Hashem. The same way that you can't see the ocean floor, the water is covering it. That's how much das is going to be from HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mitzvah Hashem. Mechinatz Kates Ba Kates At the time, the end of time when it's coming, that's what you're going to see. Unbelievable. As we learned in lesson 250, the whole idea came from Shabbos. Shabbos is Olam Haba, Me'ein Olam Haba, right? We sing the beautiful song on Shabbos, right? Me'ein Olam Haba. It's a taste of what Olam Haba is, the tranquility. Shabbos is the same idea as it is early in the morning during the week, right? Because the whole Shabbos, you don't have the text messages, there's no phone, there's no business, there's nothing. So you can relax. Mamash, you don't feel pressure on Shabbos, right? So too, I always find early in the morning when you're up and the kids are sleeping, the wife is, everyone's sleeping, and you're not getting any calls or anything. It's almost a little bit like Shabbos, a taste of Shabbos. But that's mamish what we're gonna see that's mamish a little bit of Olam Haba. Al Kain Gam Pesach Nikru Shabbos, and therefore Pesach. The whole Yontiv of Pesach, which is Emunah. Shabbos is Emunah, right? The whole idea of Shabbos is Emunah. We believe in the Rebbe Shalom. He made the world in 6 days. We rested he told us to rest on the 7th day, right? So that's the whole idea of Shabbos. And Pesach is that. The Hainu Pesach, Kamei Shem Rabbi Seinazal, Ki Ika Toikef Hanei Shel Pesach, Nimshach Mi Shabbos. The Gemara Menachos says it all comes. The whole nace of Yetzias Mitzrayim came from the Shabbos before. It's called the Great Shabbos because of the nace. It all comes from Shabbos. We know that Shabbos is the Makar HaBracha, like we say in the Likutey, right? Shabbos is the Makar, is the source of all the blessing for the upcoming week. Shabbos is the source, and we know that the Shabbos goes till Tuesday night. Wednesday is ready the next week, right? That's what we say in the Yom L'chul Ranina. On Wednesday we say L'chul Ranina because we're already bringing in the next Shabbos. But the Shabbos brings us to the next Shabbos, and the next Shabbos takes over. That's why it's called great. Al Shem Hanisim Shenikru Bechinas Gadol, because of the miracles, they were certainly great. Those were certainly spectacular miracles that Kadosh Baruch Hu did. Okay, so right down, we again, that was also in lesson 250. The Rebbe spoke about this. Write down all the miracles that happened to Elisha by the time with Eliyahu and Navi. All that there was amazing things that happened by Har Carmel. K'maisha Kosa Rabbeinu Sham B'Maimer Al Maimer Umayrid Shnei Dimais LeYam HaGadol. HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts those 2 tiers into the Yam HaGadol, and from there he draws the Hashgacha from the end of time. And how does that work? Because we said it's always good to remember when a person feels he's crying. When a person cries because he has some kind of a tsar or something, well, hopefully we'll be so happy on this Pesach, this Sukkot that we're going to have now. We're going to be so happy. We'll cry from tears of joy. Mitzvah Hashem, there'll be tears of joy. We'll mamish feel the Rabbeinu Shalom in the Sukkah. We'll feel the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu He has for us in the Sukkah. I'm amazed, I grew up in New York, and it was either too cold or too hot. it was either you were either freezing in the sukkah over there, or you were right. And I just saw mamish. It's unbelievable. Right, well, we have over here. They said the weather's going to be like 70 degrees, right? Air conditioning, right? Hashem gives us air conditioning in the sukkah. Unbelievable. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes this, so we'll have those tiers. And what's the significance of the tier? That we said when a person has a tier, so then he has a blurred vision, right? There's a blurred vision when the person is crying, right? And because we said that the teardrop takes from the ru'us, takes from the vision, and but HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts the hashgacha in there, so that way we can then see the hashgachas Hashem in our life when we have a tear of joy. Okay, so then that's another beautiful idea. So we'll do one more piece now. We have a few minutes, guys. Okay, v'zeh b'chinas or la'arba osa boit kimes hachametz lara neher. So Nasser is into the idea because we were talking about Yitzias Mitzrayim. So now we'll talk about the beautiful things. So on the 14th, the Gemara in Pesachim, it's the first daf, says that there's a big mitzvah to do, that you have to search for the chametz, and you have to use a candle. Specifically use a candle, right? La'or aner. The kari hatana la'rosa or lishana ma'alya. The Tana calls this light. It's an awesome. He calls it an awesome light. This light that comes from the candle that you can use to search. Because the whole point of searching for the chametz and destroying it, hu bechinas bir bechinas hateva me'olam, to destroy the teva in the world. There's no teva. It's all hashgacha. It's all hashgachas Hashem, and that's really what we have to understand, that everything that goes on in the world, there's no teva. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu guiding the world to its perfect harmony that Mitzvah Hashem we're going to see with the coming of Mashiach, and we'll understand that all these cuckoo things that go on is really part of bringing the world to its final tikkun. We don't understand how it's going on, but we believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is perfectly aligning everything. Shul bechinatz chametz, teva is chametz. Teva is chametz, and you have to eradicate the chametz. When it's batal teva nizgala hashgacha to nullify the teva and to reveal hashgachas Hashem. And that's how you can nullify the darkness and the night and the gullus and all of that, is when you get rid of this whole concept of teva. And that's what the Ummah Sa'ilem, they're trying to infuse in us, that it's all teva. I need more this, I need more that, I need this. Who said? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us exactly what we need. He puts us in the situation that we need. What do you want to say? Say something, Charles.
No, we brought that question up in class.
So talk about it. No.
We don't go by society standards.
Uh-huh.
The Torah standards.
Exactly. Hashgacha.
Right.
Who cares what society says? Who cares what they say?
Not relevant.
It's not relevant. It's chametz. You got to eradicate it. That's the teichev hagolos adimshav bechinas chachmas hateva. The whole idea of the chachmas hateva, unbelievable. And that's what they're trying to do now around the world. They're trying to put into the schools. They have to put the chachmas hateva into this. They want to infuse it. They're trying to stick it on everybody. It has to be what they want. That's what they want to do. And we have to fight back. Because when HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hashgacha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's perfect conducting of the world is revealed in the world. When we see it's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu, azai ein shum chayshich klal. Then there won't be any darkness. Because the darkness, like we said, now it's bright outside. So we said that's the Ara. We see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Ara Ein Sof it through the sunlight. But when the sun goes down, when the sun sets and it gets dark, we don't see HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world, right? And that's when the Chachmas HaTeva, they're stronger at that time, because they start to look at the stars and they start to look at everything at night. They can't do that during the day. They can only do it at night. But then when we have the Hashgacha in the world, there won't be any more Chayshech, because it'll be so revealed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be so revealed. The same way with Yeshua, with that beautiful mitzvah, the nace that he did there, he stopped the sun from setting, right? Givon, right? When he had that beautiful nace over there. And that was, again, he showed Hashgachas Hashem. He says, listen, I'm going to show that the sun is not going to set. And that was a preview of what's going to be, that there won't be a chayshech mitzvah Hashem when Mashiach Tzidkenu comes. Because the main light is all Hashem. Like we said it from the sun doesn't have any light by itself. It's all the light of Hashem. And we just have to recognize when we see the sunlight and it's so bright, we should recognize Imam is seeing the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not the light from the sun, because the sun has no light of itself. The sun gets its light from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's we always should remember Hashem when we see the sunlight. And then the night will illuminate the same way as the day does. Right? Look at the beautiful words of David HaMelech. The darkness won't be dark. right? You see these words? Unbelievable. V'layla ki yoim yoim. And the night it'll be like light, it'll be illuminated. As darkness is to light, light is so much more powerful than the darkness. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be revealed in the world. That's going to be in the future. Mitzvah Hashem, we'll see that. Please Hashem, send Mashiach Tzidkenu. When it comes, the Navi Zechariah says, look at this beautiful psukim he's bringing. When it comes to the time of Erev, the evening time, instead of it being dark, it'll be light. As we say in the Haggadah, he's bringing from the Haggadah, Toyer ke'or yoim, illuminate like the light of the day. Cheshkas laila, the dark, the deep darkness. Make that deep darkness into something bright and wonderful. The main darkness and the main problems in the world are all coming from this whole idea of Chachmas Hateva. Shehem Ikra Chayshach, they are the actual darkness. They are the darkness. V'emunas Hashgacha ze Ikra, and Hashgacha, trusting in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, being besimcha because you're trusting in Hashem, that is mamish light. Al kein halayla shall bedikas chametz bitul hateva. So therefore, the whole idea. That's why the Tana says that the light is so great, because the whole thing at night when we search out, what are we searching out? We're searching out from the sedorim and those little cracks and the crevices, right? Right, we're searching out the Chachmas Hateva, all of the stuff that the influence of the nations of the world upon us, and we're trying to eradicate that because that's the Ikar Chametz. And that's what he says, Kara Atana or Lishna Ma'alya, that's that light is something awesome. Al Shem Bitel HaTeva Shu B'chinet Chametz, and therefore we can nullify the Teva, which is the Ikar Chametz, the main Chametz. The main thing that we have to get rid of our lives is the whole idea of the Chachmas Hateva. And that's the only way we can really have the Simcha of Sukkah. We can only have the Simcha of Sukkahs if we mamish eradicate this and mamish just to trust in Hashem. We go outside of our houses, we go outside of the Diras Keva, we go into the Diras Arai, right? We go out, why specifically? Because show Hashem, we trust in you, you'll take care of us. You'll take care of us even when we're outside. I don't need my big brick house and the big roof and all of this. I go outside. There's a little schach on this, and the schach is what. So if we feel Hashem's love, but you can't feel Hashem's love if you're relying on what the news says and rely on everything else. So we have to mamish turn all of that nonsense off and stay away from that, and just realize it's really Hashem running everything, and all of the leaders and all of the things are all puppets and doing exactly what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants them to do. They're not doing anything on their own. They don't do anything on their own. They're doing exactly what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants them to do. So we should. I this party, that guy, this guy, that. Who cares? They're all puppets. They're puppets. Like you go to a puppet show and you watch the guy, it's nothing. So that's the same idea. That's the same idea with really everything. And that's the chametz that we have to get rid of. And then when the night will be will be light. The night will illuminate like the day. Therefore he calls that night, he calls it Or. So you see, we have a concept that the night that Golas could be it could be Geula if we can just eradicate the Chachmas Hateva. So we would do one more piece. Can we do one more letter? Okay, this is beautiful. And that's the idea of the night of the Seder is Leil Shimurim. We know it's the night that we have protection. We have the heavenly protection. Shemeshuma min hamazikim. We're protected from the mazikim. The mazikim have no control of, at that time, they can't damage us. Ki ikar mazikim hein bechinas chachmas hateva. Shein bechinas dinim. Who are the real mazikim? So, we think the mazikim are those, or the shadim and all of those guys. No, the real mazikim, says Rav Nosson, that we have to look out for is the chachmas hateva. We got to watch out for those guys. Those are the guys that really are the ones that are going to really affect our minds and bring us. They try to bring us down. They try to bring it to a place of atzvas where we are really atzvas is the biggest. But the Rebbe says that really, what's the biggest aveira that's not an aveira, and what's the biggest mitzvah that's not a mitzvah? So he says atzvus is the biggest avera. It's not an actual avera to be depressed. It's not an actual avera. But he says that atzvus is the biggest avera because it'll bring you to do all the other averas. Depression will lead a person to do all the averas. And mitzvah simcha is not really a mitzvah, but it's a mitzvah. Why? Because the greatest mitzvah. Because when you be simcha, you want to do all the avodas Hashem. Because you feel the joy, you feel the connection to Hashem. So all the chachmas that Tev is trying to take us away and try to bring us to the atzvot, they try to take us away from the simcha. So Leil Shimurim, when we have the whole idea of Emunah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed us that He took us out, and the whole mitzvah of Pesach is to speak over and tell over the Nisim. Why is that the mitzvah? Because you tell over the miracles, so you're showing how Hashem is running everything. The whole mitzvah is Sipa Yetzias Mitzrayim, is right to tell over, talk it over. Because when you talk about something, you hear it, and when you hear what your own mouth is saying, it starts to set in. It starts to set in, right? When you talk and you listen to what you're saying, and you're saying, "Wow, how great HaKadosh Baruch Hu is!" You hear what your own mouth is saying. So that's a gewaldige thing, and that's why the whole mitzvah is Sipa Yetzias Mitzrayim, and that's why there's no dinim on that night. There's no mazikim. Shul bechinas oivdei kechav mazikei oma. The oivdei kechavim, they're the biggest, the destroyers of the world. Mazikei oma, they destroy the world more than anyone else. V'az belel Yetzias Mitzrayim shoye bitel hateva b'layla. Taika, when it came to Yetzias Mitzrayim, we nullified the teva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nullified the teva. He made a mockery of the teva. To show that night, the night of the 14th, the night of the 15th is night, but it's really bright. It's bright, and because it's so bright, the mazikim only have their rule, like we said, at night. But when the night is day, so then if it's day, then they don't have any rule. They have no control. Therefore, that night we're protected from all the mazikim because it's day. Mikol dinim, from all dinim, and then we can nullify any kind of damage, any kind of din, any kind of judgments in the world. And how do you get that? What's the greatest way to nullify all judgment in the world? To recognize hashkachas Hashem. And again, when we say the bracha and Shemay Esrei, Chaynei Nadas, this is a beautiful kavanah that we can have. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me the das. Chaynei Nadas, give me that das of knowing that it's you running in the world. That it's all hashkachas Hashem, and it's not chas v'shalom anything of teva. It's not anything of the mazikim of the world or anything like that. And any time we can trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu at night. And we could trust it when it's a dark time. Every time we go through life and we have different things that happen, we get a call, we get this and that and everything. So if you stop for a second before you react and you recognize, wait a second, this guy told me this thing. It's not Hashem sent him to tell me this thing. So why am I going to flare up at the guy? Why am I going to flare up? And then if I do that again, I can protect myself. I'll tell over the story again. There was the great tzaddik Rav Gifter. Right, it tells Rosh Shiva, and he lived in a three-story house, and the Rosh Shiva had he was so careful never to get upset because he understood this. He understood that I'm never supposed to get upset because why am I going to get upset? It's all hashkachas Hashem. So what he did was he bought himself this funny hat, and he put this funny hat up in the attic. He put this hat up. He bought a special hat. He called it, "This is my angry hat." He put his angry hat up in the attic. And he said that anytime, he was in the house and then something would, flare up down there, and he would try to, he would get, I can't be upset unless I put on that hat. I have to wear that hat and then I can get upset. So he would start walking up the stairs to the thing. And then as he's walking up the stairs, he would remember, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? So we can take the same idea. Whenever that. So the whole Yom Tov of Sukkot, the whole thing is simcha. So we can remember this. No matter what happens in the house, no matter what the wife says or the kids or what this, it doesn't. You realize it's only Hashem. My job is to be b'simcha now. I said, okay. So she said that. So they did this. They did that. What do I care? Hashem, you want them to do this? So they did it. What's it on me? What am I going to be upset about? We get upset when people do things. But why? Why? Can we control anyone when anyone does? Impossible. We can't control people. People are going to do what people are going to do.
Well, we also get upset when we do certain things.
Okay, so that's what we have tshuva about. That's what Zbayda does. Take your time, right? The Tanya says to do that also. Take an hour a day and talk to Hashem, right? Right? Isn't that true? The Tanya says take a time. You make a certain time during the day and talk it over to Hashem. The Tanya says otherwise the rest of the day you have to be b'simcha, right? Isn't that what the Tanya says in Tanya? I think it's in Gimel. Is it in Gimel?
Set time.
What?
Set time.
You have a set time and you say the same thing. I can't beat myself up over things only at that time. So the person sets that time. It's going to be at at 10 o'clock in the morning.
He says ideally it's at.
Oh, of course, but the Tanya doesn't give you a specific time.
No, he says the best to do it at Chatzot Halayla.
He does the Tanya says that? Yeah. I don't remember seeing that. I don't remember. Okay, good. Okay, so perfect. So it's perfectly aligned. So do it. Huh?
It seems like there's a lot of things we need to do at Hatzot.
That's where it's at. That's where it's at.
Prime time.
That's prime time.
He says if you do it, you need less sleep.
There is.
You need less.
You need less sleep.
You actually go to sleep.
You'll need less sleep if you put this into practice. You'll see. You'll get. It's an amazing thing when you get up. And Rav Nosson said, if you can't get up exactly at Chatzot, it's a machlokes anyway. The Magen Avram and this, it's 6 hours after Shkia Sachava, this and that. So some say it's 12:30, and then the Magen Avram can be much later. So whatever, you pick whichever one you want to do. But Rav Nosson said either way, if you can't get up exactly at Chatzot, so get up an hour after, get up 2 hours after, get up 3 hours after, but get up at least before Alos HaShachar, so you wake up the morning and the morning doesn't wake you up. And that's the best time to do all of these things. Okay? Shkoyach, everybody.